Hello, my name is Daniel, and this is the Engineering Success Podcast, episode 71. Hope you guys are doing well and life is treating you well. It is a good time here in Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm pretty happy to be here. Life is good. Baby E went with us to the tulip farm. Shout out Howard Family Farms. We did a U-Pick tulip day, took some photos, had a good time. It's been a good weekend, good week. A lot of crazy things going on in the world right now, but thankfully my work life and home life have not been too affected, and I hope that the same is for you guys listening on your end, so wish you all the best. Before we get into the episode, I have to give a couple big shout outs to my top tier supporters, John Ott and Leroy Jenkins. Thank you both so much for your continued support of the podcast. I really appreciate your support. You too can support the podcast, $10 a month. It gets you shout out at the beginning of every single episode, and you can be on our top tier supporter wall on our website at www.engringsuccess.com. And you also will get a nice little thank you email from me, from my email address at daniel@engringsuccess.com. If you want to be notified of every single episode of the podcast, make sure to subscribe on YouTube or sign up for my newsletter. Every single time I publish an episode or I just give my musings, ramblings, and thoughts on the world of engineering careers, I will send out a letter to all my newsletter subscribers. So make sure to check that out as well on my website if you want to be in tune with all things engineering success. All right, so what's around the corner? Well, this is going to be a mailbag episode, so just your typical Daniel answering a bunch of questions that he can turn into YouTube clips type episode. And then I have a couple other longer form episodes that I'm looking at pulling together. Doing one on everything ABET, history of ABET, why ABET, what does ABET do, does it matter, why does it matter, if it does matter, to students and universities. And then I'm also going to be I'm reading a book about how to start your engineering career, and I'm hoping to have the authors of that book on the podcast, and just decent pipeline of people that want to be on engineering success. The biggest limiting factor right now at this point is me and my personal and work schedule. I'm trying my best to keep up with episodes. It's been a little bit difficult as of late as I transition. As I know it's been almost a year, but getting into a new job, it takes some time, right? And also just with Maddie's school schedule and baby E just not sleeping, though we slept through the night twice this week, so that's good. But I think we're probably going to be down to 1 to 2 episodes a month at this point. Definitely 1, hopefully 2 at this point, and then hopefully we'll get into a better rhythm at one point. On YouTube, shout out to the YouTube listeners. We have 994 subscribers as of me recording this episode, so we're just almost to our goal of 1,000, which is the threshold for YouTube to monetize you, which is great. I just need to get more watch time on the videos to reach that point. So a little bit more quality video production from me for my growing audience to hit that monetization goal on YouTube. And we'll get into our first segment this week in LinkedIn Lunatics, which is named after the subreddit r/LinkedIn Lunatics, where people post crazy things on LinkedIn, and where we talk about crazy things and controversial topics related to careers in general. Some of them from LinkedIn, some of them from Reddit in general, and some of them from r/recruiting hell, which is another fun career related subreddit. This one is this one's interesting. All right, I have some thoughts about this one. Still in college, but ready to strangle my friend who said this, and this got 2.2 thousand upvotes in r/engineering memes. They said, when a mechanical engineer says mechanical engineering is just as hard as aerospace engineering, truly wonderful the mind of a child is. So I guess aerospace engineers have this complex where they think that their major is more challenging than other people's majors, and the reality is nobody cares. Especially when you're in college, you don't really know hardly anything, so nobody cares about your major name, how difficult you find your classes to be, and how much less versatile your degree is as an aerospace engineer versus a mechanical engineering degree. So, you got to get rid of those complexes about this degree is harder than that degree, this degree is more challenging than the other degree, because then the reality is you get into industry and it becomes about this person can do their job, And nobody cares what your major was. Nobody cares where you went to college. Nobody cares that you learned you're the valedictorian in high school, that you were a National Honor Society member, all that kind of stuff. Nobody cares that you were in Phi Beta Kappa or whatever the academic honor society is. People care about your output at work, and that is what determines how you get paid. They might be fun little anecdotes, but the more you lean on those anecdotes, the more you alienate yourself from others. So really, come on, people, let's be better than this. And sure enough, the top comment is in line with that. You're both in college, hate to break it to you, but you don't know anything either. I don't think the curriculum is somehow unbalanced and that one is superior to the other. Work with this engineer. I would not. Yeah. Yep. Exactly. I feel the exact same way about that one. All right. Next one. So yeah, I'd say that this person is going to be a LinkedIn lunatic one day. 10 out of 10. Maybe you can learn and not be one, buddy. All right. Next one is SpaceX just asked me for my SAT score. Basically the title. I'm interviewing for SpaceX and the recruiter just asked me for my SAT/ACT score. I have a master's degree and 2 years of experience in the launch vehicle industry. Why does this matter in the slightest? I don't remember my score. LOL. Yeah, and just after I finished saying on one side of my mouth that nobody cares what you did in high school and what your SAT score was, apparently SpaceX cares, and they're the only company that cares. I've never met another company that cares, and that just is one of the many reasons why I don't jive with the culture of work at SpaceX. So I would never work there. Not a place that I would ever work at. I have friends that work there. It's just the culture doesn't mesh with my work culture that I want to have and mentalities I want to have, and just it's not the environment that I want to work in. But it's not for me. It could be for you. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. But it's funny that the recruiter, as they say, go up further on, says they go on to say that the recruiter said they really needed it. And I do remember my ACT score. It doesn't matter what my ACT score was, and it doesn't matter anything that I did in college. Nothing about that really matters and has anything to do with what I do in my day-to-day. All right, that was this week in LinkedIn Lunatics. Let's get into our next segment of the podcast. Daniel goes tss with his mouth and makes you hate the fact that you're hearing it in your ears. Or Daniel hates himself for having to then go back and edit all those sounds out. I probably won't. So you're just going to have to listen to them. All right, this is College Questions, where we answer questions about pursuing engineering, the major, and related majors in college. The first question is titled, should I go for a dual degree in bioengineering and mechanical engineering? Would the extra mechanical engineering degree help with landing jobs? My main goal is to attend medical school, but I'm interested in the engineering side of medicine. You may ask why I'm concerned about job placement when I plan to attend medical school. It's just in case I don't get accepted, and I also plan on taking a gap year or two, so having a good paying job is nice. Getting the extra mechanical engineering degree is just 15 more credits than the bioengineering one, and they're both ABET accredited. No, you shouldn't get a dual degree, and if you are legitimately serious about going to med school, engineering might not be the degree for you. I'm not saying that you can't get an engineering degree and then get into med school, but engineering is just going to be such a hard major to keep a high enough GPA in that you're as competitive for med school. Episode, I think, 4 of the podcast, I interviewed one of my friends that did go the med school route. He never really considered engineering, but I thought it was relevant to interview him for those that are thinking about doing engineering and med school. He went biology, and there are other majors you can get to help boost your chances of getting into med school, but the biggest thing about med school is high GPA and the prerequisites and a good MCAT score. Engineering degree is not necessarily one of those. Yes, if you have a great GPA in engineering, you might stand out. But again, it's really hard to maintain a really high GPA in engineering, so you may not want to do that. And that being said, I think you're just trying to do too much here, doing the pre-med and dual degree in bioengineering and mechanical engineering. You don't really need the dual degrees to work in engineering, for sure. You can just get one of them. I get the mechanical one. And then maybe that combined with all your pre-med courses would set you up pretty well for a bioengineering role. I don't think you need to necessarily limit yourself by going very niche into bioengineering for your major. You can just get that mechanical engineering degree. And then the whole wanting to go to med school thing, that's a whole other bridge to cross. But I'm not the most qualified to speak on that topic, but all I will say is that I think you should really kind of think a little bit harder about what you really want to do. And if you're committed to going to med school, I would consider maybe doing a biology degree instead. That generally translates a little bit better to med school. I understand the hesitance and not being able to fall back, but going to med school is a long road that requires, becoming a doctor is a long road that requires commitment from the very beginning. So having one foot in, one foot out from the very, very start maybe isn't the right, maybe there's some psychology behind that. I would look into the psychology of that and talk to other people that are doctors and get some advice from them, especially if you want to become a doctor. So, all right. Next question is titled, should I apply for jobs with my associates or finish school and get my bachelor's? Just got back into school and about to finish my associate degree in mechanical engineering. Do you think I can get a decent job with just this, or should I stick it out? You can get a decent job like as a drafter or like as an operator working for a company that does either engineering or working with engineers, but you're not going to have the same level of upward career mobility as somebody with a bachelor's of science in engineering from an ABET accredited institution in the US. So what I would do if I were you is go ahead and apply for jobs, but with the understanding that you're going to stick out your degree. I think that if you want to be a non-traditional student and your lifestyle supports that, go for it. Work for, maybe even find a company that will help pay for your the culmination of your degree. A lot of companies do tuition reimbursement, so if you can get a job as a drafter with your associate's degree for a company that will pay for the second half of your bachelor's as you finish your engineering degree, that's what I would do. But I wouldn't just hang my hat on the associates in engineering and stop there. So whatever you do, whether you apply for jobs or just stay going to school full time, you should definitely finish your engineering degree. It is definitely going to positively impact your upward mobility and your earning potential as an engineer. So definitely continue with your engineering degree. And I just looked through the comments. Everybody agrees with me. Next question is titled, do engineering students need to learn ethics? Yes. Okay, let's read the question though. I was just having a chat with some classmates earlier and was astonished to learn that some of them, actually one of them, think that ethics is unnecessary in engineering, at least to them. Their mindset is that they don't want to care about anything other than engineering topics, and that if they work, e.g. in building a machine, that they will only care about how to make the machine work, and it's not their responsibility nor to care about what the machine is used for, or even what effect the function they're developing is supposed to have on others and society. Honestly, at the time, I was appalled and frankly sad about it, and I think is a extremely limiting and rather troubling viewpoint. Now that I sit and think more about it, I'm wondering if this is some way of thinking that a lot of engineering students share, and what you guys think about learning ethics in your program. So first of all, the obligation of an engineer, the Order of Engineers, is an organization that exists because of the importance of engineering ethics, which that organization was created after the bridge failure in Canada. And so that organization, that commitment to ethics was built on the bond of blood. People's lives were lost when a bridge collapsed. And then also ABET, the accrediting organization for most engineering institutions in the US and many other nations around the world, requires that universities teach students about ethics, and that the ABET accreditation is one of the most streamlined ways to becoming accredited and achieving licensure as a professional engineer. So the state boards that accredit engineers and license engineers, and the ABET, which accredits the institutions that educate engineers, also agree that ethics is important. And I wouldn't want to work with an engineer like this person that you've described that doesn't want to think about the ethics, because the ethics of engineering is part of being an engineer. It's not just about mechanics of things. And this person will probably be a very poor engineer and a poor person to work with if they maintain that mentality throughout their entire career. So yes, engineering students need to learn ethics. Engineers build things to solve problems in society. We build society. We build the power plants. We build the chemical facilities. We build the infrastructure. We build the things that people use. Everything that people interact with on a daily basis was designed, stamped, and approved by an engineer. And if those engineers were not behaving ethically and operating in the interest of society, then society would be a much more dangerous place than it is today. And the obligation of an engineer is to be ethical in everything they do. So yes, engineers need to learn ethics, and it's your university is also part of their re-accreditation, and they're maintaining their accreditation in ABET is the fact that they are able to have the, not teaching students ethics, but having the outcome that their students come out of an engineering program understanding the ethical obligation of an engineer. So if if this person graduates and finishes their program from your university and still maintains this mentality, then your university has failed. All right, and we are back. This one is titled Interviewing for a Senior Mechanical Position. For the on-site interview, they are asking me to fill out a PowerPoint presentation, 25 to 30 minutes. This seems odd to me. Am I overreacting? I'm currently casually looking around for another job. I'm a senior mechanical engineer at my current role, 7 years in my current role, 13 years of total experience, and this would be just a move to a different company closer to home rather than an increase in title. I've been through one round of interviews, teams with the hiring managers. I was just sent an invite to the on-site interview, and it included a request for me to fill out a PowerPoint presentation and give that presentation. They expect the presentation to be lasting 25 to 30 minutes. The content of the presentation is mostly fluff questions like why choose this company, how do you emulate our values, overview of my resume, key achievement, why you. To me, this seems a little odd for a senior level role. These questions to me are geared towards entry-level candidates. I also feel like I'm rehashing what was already discussed in the previous interview. I'm a little offended by the request, and they've given me short notice. I have to have this PowerPoint to them by midday Tuesday. Am I overreacting? I think you are. I think that, senior level people need to be able to communicate effectively, and it seems like they've picked a little easy task for you. I think it would be unreasonable if they asked you to present like a 25 to 30 minute talk on something that is just like something that you'd have to research, or something that you'd have to do intense time, like doing like I guess busy work or like a sample project for them. This looks like it's a 25 to 30 minute presentation on stuff that you should already know the answer to, that shouldn't take too long for you to create. It should be, in my opinion, 25 to 30 minutes. That's probably 2 minutes per slide, 15 slides. And you could do 4 bullet points tops on each slide. I don't think that this presentation needs to be something that you need to spend a bunch of time on when it comes to drafting out every single thing. As you said, this is stuff that you've already talked to them about in interviews, and maybe this will be the opportunity for you to just demonstrate your communication skills to a larger audience and help a little bit larger audience of people see what the other people that have interviewed you to this point like about you, and the reason why they want you to continue interviewing. So this seems actually like a pretty innocuous request, trying to understand your communication abilities. And yeah, I wouldn't read too far into it if it was me in this position. Fluff questions, why choose this company? You should already know that. How do you emulate our values? Probably a question you've already answered in an interview. Overview your resume. It's easy to talk about yourself. In fact, you can probably make that the majority of your talk. And if you're looking for something to fill that 25 to 30 minutes, with. You can pick a particular project or a couple accomplishments. The next one is key achievement. So a couple individual things that stand out to you that are things that you're proud of and that you'd like people to know about you. And then why you, it's just, again, why you think you're a fit for the company and why you think that the company is a fit for you. So yeah, this just seems like, I know it sounds like it's geared towards entry-level candidates and you're rehashing what's already discussed in the previous interview, but this seems like more of a, can you communicate effectively and what are your communication skills like type of question than we want this candidate to do a bunch of research. And the fact that it's being asked to be prepared on very short notice kind of supports that, right? Like they're not expecting you to give a super polished thing, but they just want to know how you communicate and let more people get to know you. Top question, I would say reasonable for a senior position. This seems to be a culture fit presentation rather than anything. Oh, somebody else does it. We do this at my company for 2 reasons. First, to make sure you can communicate effectively to a group of people, something you constantly do as an engineer. And second, it makes the rest of the interviews that day go smoothly. You can spend more time getting to know the people you would be working with and vice versa, rather than you rehashing your resume for 30 minutes every time you sit down with a new person. That's a great idea. Obviously the point is to demonstrate your presentation skills. Giving a PowerPoint presentation in front of a group of people is a pretty common task for a lot of engineers. To me, this sounds like a layup. I wouldn't stress about it. It's not a TED Talk. You don't have to blow anybody's minds or bring the audience to tears. Just demonstrate that you can get up in front of people and give a basic presentation without passing out. FYI, the higher you get in the org chart, the more fluff the content of your presentations become, so get used to it, LOL. All right, so consensus is pretty aligned with my view on this one, and yeah, cool. All right, next question is titled, It's Bothering Me That I Am Getting Called Last in a Meeting to Give Updates. And they go on to say, ooh, deleted. All right, I have it over here. And Bailey Cat has made an appearance and wants to rub his butt up against the microphone, so I have to fend him off a little bit. We have a weekly online meeting where the manager's manager goes around asking what everyone is doing the upcoming week, any updates, issues from last week. I'm only 6 months in this company, but the title is senior engineer. The team has another senior engineer, my manager, 2 contractors, IT person, and an intern. They all started before me, so I thought maybe I'm being asked last because I'm the newest here. Recently, we have a new IT person as the previous one left, so last 2 weeks, even he was asked for updates before me. Needless to say, but I'm the only woman in the group. Any managers here who can tell me what's the thought process here when going around the table to ask for updates? I'm working on equally important projects, so I don't know if I should even care about this. Maybe I'm overreacting. For me, I take meeting minutes and meeting notes on my meetings, and whenever I do a new meeting, I just copy the notes from the last meeting over. I don't know if this manager is sharing this for you, but it seems like they just do things. Do they do things in the same order every time? I'm guessing that they do, and I'm guessing it's because your manager is either stuck in their ways or maybe they even are taking notes in the same way every single time. Or maybe they're going, it's online, right? So that's, if it's an organized meeting, that's what I'm guessing. If they're like changing up the order every single time and you're always last, that would be maybe a minor red flag, but I still wouldn't read too far into that based on what you've said. And looks like everybody disagrees for me. Yeah, I think a lot of times they use the notes from the previous time, they just fill it in, so they kind of have a default agenda. I found that happening to me. I mean, somebody has to go to last, but usually it would be like, does anyone else have anything? And yeah, I have something that I have every week, so I asked to do, I always have to be last, or can we rotate? Oh, okay. Yeah, so if also if you one thing that you could also bring up is like, hey, I have a hard stop at like halfway through this meeting this week. Can I go first this week? If you have conflicts or you just need to go first one week or you're busy, it'd probably be pretty reasonable for you to message the manager beforehand and to say, hey, can I go first? Or hey, I'm noticing that we're not having time to get through my updates or spend as much time on my updates because I'm always last. Would you mind changing the order of the meeting or flipping the order of the meeting sometimes? That would be really helpful. So you can, I wouldn't read too far into it. It's probably just have it or their notes template, but it wouldn't be a bad thing for you to just professionally address it with your manager and say, hey, I'm noticing I'm always last and it's affecting my ability to get all my updates in because I'm always having to rush through. Can I go first or a little bit sooner one week? especially if there's a particular week where you have some more updates to give than maybe normal. It's a big week for you, and then maybe they'll move you to the top of the agenda and you can be first every time. All right, next question. Is it possible to become a professor without actually working in the industry? About to graduate with a Bachelor of Science in Civil in a semester or so. Still no internship, and it looks like I'll be graduating without one. I've been a tutor the past 2 semesters, and I really enjoy it. Plus, the money is actually pretty good, plus super flexible hours. This has convinced me to go for my master's. Going to start doing research soon as well. If I do go all the way and get a PhD, how likely is it for me to be able to become a professor without any industry experience? Interestingly enough, I think that of the full-time professors that I had throughout college, none of them had worked full-time in the industry extensively or as a major part of their career. And I had a couple adjuncts that were currently working in the industry. But yeah, no. So from my anecdotal experience, yes, it is possible to become a professor without actually working in the industry. And I think a lot of professors actually don't work in the industry. Maybe they're a little bit more research focused, which is the nature of becoming a professor and working in academia, right? Is being research focused, and doesn't mean that their research doesn't impact the industry or doesn't touch the industry, but again, they probably never worked in industry before doing that job as professors. So let's see if my anecdotal experience is everybody's anecdotal experience. I think a lot of professors never work in industry, just academia their entire lives. Oh, okay, I ask because I've only seen the contrary. All but one professor I've had has worked extensively in the industry. Oh, well, good for you. Good for you. Again, I don't have nothing negative to say about my professors, but it would have been nice to have some industry connections through my professors, and having professors that could reflect on their experiences in industry and kind of inform their curriculum based on that would have been nice. But yeah, you don't have to work in industry to become a professor. I think that it wouldn't hurt to work in industry before becoming a professor, but I doubt that it's a prerequisite or requirement for every job as an engineering professor. It might be at some schools, but it definitely wasn't at my school. All right. Next question. Oh, this one's fun. For mechanical engineers who have been working for as long as they were in university or longer, which was harder, being an undergraduate student or being an employee? For me, I'd have to say from my experience that being an undergraduate student was definitely harder, and definitely harder on the body. I feel like I had, some of this was probably informed by the fact that I had some pretty bad habits, and also I wanted to study habits, and I wasn't the most productive with my time whenever I was in university, so it led to some pretty late nights that were pretty grueling. But being an employee, I mean, there definitely has been more moments where I felt more pressure than maybe I ever felt whenever I was taking whatever exam or whatnot as a student. And the professionalism aspect of being a professional employee has been just a different kind of being on that I didn't necessarily have to have whenever I was in college, but the rigor and the time and all that kind of stuff of being a student definitely was harder. That being said, I do miss it. It was fun. It's fun to learn, fun to be in that academic environment, and fun to live close to all my friends. I do miss you, all my friends, and I think that's going to be everybody's experience. Top comment says it's different and can't really be compared in terms of difficulty. Yeah, college was significantly more difficult and stressful. However, being able to have my own schedule outside of class and not being forced to be in a building 9 hours a day and pretend to be happy was so much better. Sometimes I think back and wish I was still in college since it felt more rewarding and I had much more freedom. Other times I'm glad I have a pretty low stress job and get paid. Yeah, I remember whenever I was in college, I was like, man, I can't wait till I graduate and I'm an engineer and I'm making money for working this hard or not as hard as this. And then you get out and you're like, oh, wow, I no longer have that. Can't wait till I get done with this thing and then move on to the next thing kind of mentality. You start your career and you're like, oh yeah, this and increasing levels of responsibility associated with this if I want to achieve the financial goals that I want to achieve is my life for an extended period of time. And I think that college is like it's a sprint and it's fun and it's exhilarating. You learn about it, and then your career is kind of more like something that you make peace with, especially if you have certain kinds of goals and you kind of reckon with those goals and wrestle with those goals and see if they actually are important to you, right? Whenever you're actually in your career, college is your career is more of like a cross country run, and it's kind of like grueling and like just being an adult in general and having like and again, as I had privilege to say that I didn't have full-fledged adult responsibilities the whole time whenever I was in college, but being financially independent and providing for a family, that pressure that comes with that, and just like the oh yeah, this is my life now. Being an engineer in career is definitely a different type of, I guess, mental load than it was being a college student. But I wouldn't. I'm glad that I'm in this phase, and I do miss the adventure and the fun that I had whenever I was in college. But I wouldn't go back. I wouldn't go back and redo it. So, all right. Well, anyways, that's my reflection on that. That's a pretty common question, and I think that it's a legitimate question to ask because college is stressful for engineering students, and you're like, is this all worth it? I hope it isn't going to be this crazy and this hard whenever I start my career, and rest easy knowing that it isn't as stressful and grueling and as intense as college is. That's for sure. All right. Next question is, how important is coding in this field as a mechanical engineer? I'm an HVAC technician currently going to night school for mechanical engineering. One thing that I've been struggling with is programming. Not only is it kicking my A to learn, but it's also something I have zero interest in learning and take no enjoyment in doing. Is this just something I have to type out for school, or is it a major part of my job? Yeah, I think it depends, but since you know that you don't like it, for you it'll just be a thing that you have to tough out for school. Some jobs that mechanical engineers take have a lot of coding, some have no coding at all. Many of them have no coding at all. For me, it took 4 years into my career for me to start coding, which it came out of just convenience and making my life easier, that I learned how to code a couple things here and there, but I also could do my job just fine without being able to code at all. And I wouldn't consider myself an effective programmer, and my friends that are software engineers, shout out Brian Gunther, would agree that I am not a effective software developer, but I can write a line of code here and there to make my life a little bit easier. So yeah, how important is coding in the field of mechanical engineering? It really depends on the job, and if you don't want it to be, then you can avoid it as long as you pick the right kind of job. So, relevant question though. All right. Oh, next question, and maybe we'll stop with this question here. Am I being? I don't even know what to call what I'm being entitled, maybe, question mark. This is an r/women engineers, which makes it important. But here's the thing, I work for a company that's relatively small, to the 100-ish employees. I am a professional engineer, not a junior or anything. I consider myself intermediate to senior with 12 plus years of experience. My problem is this, the company needs a receptionist at the front at all times, and for whatever reason, they decided to name a handful of people as the fill-in when the receptionist is unavailable. Myself and the other female engineer have been tasked with this duty, and I'm honestly furious, but I am terrible at saying no. Surely there are other people in the company that would make way more sense than being this fill-in receptionist, but me and my other female colleague were plagued with this task. Why? Because we are female? Sounds like it. I want to take this up with my manager, but I don't know if I'm going to be seen as uncooperative or not a team player. I can't help but feel like if I wanted to be a receptionist, then I wouldn't have wasted 5 years in university taking the most mind-bending courses. Am I wrong here? No. Especially if the other woman is the only other woman in the office, or that's getting assigned to this only other woman engineer. And if any man is claiming that he can't do it and that y'all are better, that's just weaponized incompetence. So yeah, I think this is a perfectly reasonable thing to be kind of icked out by. Give me the ick, that's for sure. So yeah, you're not being unreasonable at all. And yeah, I would have a conversation with your manager about it. Like, hey, can we expand this rotation? I noticed that me and so are the only two people in this rotation, and I have a lot of responsibilities and a lot of things that I need to do. As you know, you're my manager. You know that I have a lot of responsibilities, and I really don't think it's the most effective use of company resources for me to even be doing this, anyways. With that being said, I'd be happy to help out with the rotation. I just would like it. We have 200 employees. It would be nice if we expanded the rotation to include a couple more people, especially maybe some more junior level people that have demonstrated that they can be effective communicators and represent us well, and it would help prepare them also for being client interfaces as well, practicing those communication skills. That's the approach I would take, because it reeks of, I suspect that there may be a little bit of sexism involved in this. Maybe I'm wrong, but only 2 women engineers, the other ones that volunteered for it, 200 people, a lot of other people could be doing this. Yeah, it sounds like a waste of company resources and a little bit sexist. And I would approach it from the, hey, this is not the most effective use of my time, / this feels like, I don't mind being a team player, but could we expand this rotation? Because I'm finding that I'm consistently getting asked to do this as one of only 2 people that does this, is taking up too much of my time and distracting me from being able to do impactful engineering work. Let's see if people agree with me. Nope, not wrong. If you and the other woman in the office are the only ones in the rotation, that's sexist as F. Everyone should be in the rotation, or should be split among a department that makes sense, like accounting or business development, etc. Try by asking why they picked you and make them really go into their thinking. If they have any sense of shame, they'll reverse course pretty quickly. This is my thought exactly. The department they are targeting just makes 0 sense. HR accounting would make much more sense. Not to mention how much they pay you an hour. I feel like this would take away from your credibility as an engineer. As an engineering intern, I've asked to file admin stuff with the boss once, and all the male managers were pissed about it, saying it was inappropriate and sexist. The boss didn't ask again. He also really didn't like me for many possible reasons, but mostly sexism. Yeah, it just doesn't seem like a good use of resources for a senior 12-year engineer to be doing receptionist tasks. I'm sure that there's probably some entry-level people that probably can be doing this backup admin work. And again, I wouldn't say, hey, don't have me do this at all. I'm happy to help, but is this the most effective use of company resources? And if so, can we spread this out here? So anyways, guys, that was this episode of the Engineering Success Podcast. I really appreciate you guys for listening. We may have another mailbag in it. I have about 10 more questions I picked out that I'm just not going to have the chance to get to in this episode, but I have them earmarked for a future episode. But yeah, if you like the podcast, give it a like. Join the 994 subscribers. Help me reach 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. Share it with a friend that you might think would like it. And if you have a question, topic you want me to address in the podcast, leave it in the comments down below. That's why I'm exploring the ABET topic a little bit deeper. Or you can send me an email at daniel@engringsuccess.com, which is also my domain website for the podcast as well, engringsuccess.com. Catch you in the next one. We appreciate you again for your support of the podcast. See you later. Bye.
I'm miscommunicating. I just made a pilot, then they threw me on the stations. Now I'm not complaining, My thoughts get complicated, I cannot explain in layman's. Never losing focus because I ain't chasing payments. Still playing in the basement while I'm working on arrangements. They heard the kid in 50 countries, thank God that's amazing. But I'd rather thank Spotify, they put me on the station.